TG Geeks, episode 239, September 16th, 2019. Artist or artiste? You decide. Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the two gay geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery. Sci-fi, comics, film, horror, genre, you name it. We talk about it. Yeah, I'm a little tired today. I'm Keith Lane, and we're coming to you from It's Finally Getting Cooler in Phoenix, Arizona.
And I'm Ben Raggington, coming to you from the technologically challenged studios of TG Squared Geeks, or whatever.
Whatever we are.
Yeah, that thought totally escaped from me.
It has been a technological challenge this morning. Yes, that is true. That's why I'm a little tired. Spent 3 hours with technical stuff. So, let's get on with this. Get on with it! Get on with it.
Prepare for hyperdrive.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Episodes, the two gay geeks are discussing this.
Well, this time we have an artist that from CoKoCon that we interviewed the very last day. That we didn't think we were going to get an interview with him, but Joseph Gaxiola decided that he would take that on for us, and he set that up, and we interviewed him on Monday afternoon.
Who
Gilead.
Yes, he was the artiste guest of honor.
Yes, and it was a fascinating interview, so we'll talk to him today. We have our birthday shout-outs, as always, our featured podcast of the week. We got a little feedback and some shout-outs, and in our second segment, we're going to talk about the Arizona Opera 2019-2020
Since it's just around the
season.
corner.
Exactly.
I am actually really excited about it.
Yeah, and the weekly recap, and then a few shout-outs. So stay tuned. We have lots in this episode, so let's get right to it. And we welcome to the microphone Mr. Just Gilead. That's his artist name, and he is an artiste extraordinaire. There we go. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay.
You got that right.
Is it like Bono or Cher or Madonna?
Yeah, we only have one name. So
Thank you for starting with Bono instead of Cher and Madonna and stopping there. Like everybody else does.
yeah.
I was like, I'm usually like, yeah, thanks. I'm Madonna, not Bono, not Sting, not Prince.
Yeah.
But yes, yeah, it's like that. I had a first and last name once, but there was a horrible artistic accident, and they had to be surgically removed. So I'm just left with Gilead.
Yeah. Well, you have to. I mean, it's like us. We're the two gay geeks. That's us.
If it's catchy, then it's catchy.
I'm one geek, and he's two geek. We're geek one.
Geek one and
two.
geek two?
Yeah,
Two,
There you go.
Anyway, so we're here to talk about you. We're here at
Geekledum.
Yes,
Thank
you. We're here at CoKoCon 2019.
Yes.
The last day. I mean, we're in the dog
final
days
moments
of this con, and we had the very fortunate opportunity that Joseph put together for us to talk to Gilead. So tell us. You are an incredible artist. I was watching you work doing your dragons. I'm sure you've done the dragons before.
Oh, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
We were standing there. He was
Thanks.
standing there talking to the used book guy.
But I was out of the corner of my eye, I'm watching you.
Yeah, I was peeking around the corner, and it's like, you're 20 minutes into this thing, and it's almost done.
Oh, no, it's nowhere close to being done.
Well,
That's just an underpainting.
It was quite extraordinary.
Well, I mean, it was done for what most people would consider done. Right. So, I mean, you really sketched it out there. That was pretty incredible.
You made it look easy.
Yes.
Thanks. I have 20 plus years as a sign painter.
Right.
And I got paid by the job, and I got paid very little by the job. And the only way to make any money was to get out there, get it finished, and go do another job. Mm. And I think that's where that comes from. Also, previous to that, we worked for close to 10 years in factories where you're just going 90 miles an hour. So that's pretty much my instinct, is to just go as fast as I can, sometimes even when there's no good reason to do it. But in a
But
demo,
if you're doing signs, you kind of have to, because it's all about, obviously it has to be quality, but a lot of it's just about quantity. Go from,
Right.
because they want to get it up there.
Right, and they're going to wait until the last minute, always, no matter how much they know. They've known for
by the way,
months
we
that
need
they want to
600
do
signs
this.
in an hour.
Exactly, and then they're going to tell me, can you have that done by tomorrow? And you're like, no, I can't. But you do as much as you can. So
tell us, how did you get interested in art to begin with, and what is your inspiration? Because you're kind of, there's some themes to your art, but you're kind of all over the place at the same time.
I am all over the place is definitely a phrase that's been used sometimes not positively to describe
it's okay.
Okay. I guess I was artistic even when I was little. When I was 6 years old, I think I drew better than most adults did.
Wow.
But I was also in a small town with parents who grew up in the Depression and said, art's not a way to make a living. Art's a way of goofing off.
Right.
And so as impressed as they were that I could draw really well, they just didn't know that could be a profession. And in fact, that lasted all the way up through the end of high school. High school art teachers told me that art is not a profession, that you can't.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No. Many people believe that, and I think people probably still believe that. So we went and worked in a factory and almost, got stuck there.
Right.
I finally decided to bust out and try to do some form of art. But digressing a little bit, when I was 10 years old, I discovered Frank Frazetta. There's nobody better. He's one of those people that you think, he's this good. I'm holding my hand up like you can see me on TV. He's this good, and then once you get that good, you realize, no, he isn't that good. He's way better than that. And I'm holding my hand much higher up, and then once you get that good, hey, my alarm's going off, even though I told it not to. I'm sorry about that.
That's all right.
All right. That's one of those little blunders that you said you're going to leave in
It happens.
Okay, fine.
Stuff happens.
All right. So Frank Frazetta, I've always been amazed with him. I will always be amazed with him. I'm still trying to do work that's half as good as what he was doing when he was half my age currently.
Right.
But anyway, that was when I was 10. They said, no, that's not a real job. So we went to work in a factory and finally moved down here. That was in Prescott, Arizona. And we finally moved down here.
It's
Prescott. It's Prescott. We didn't make
ITT.
When I was little, we didn't make a big deal about that. I don't remember ever correcting anybody, but that is in fact how we pronounce it.
Of course.
Nobody ever said Prescott. But
It's too highfalutin.
yeah. So I came down here and
We derailed you.
Yeah, I know. Well, I almost went off on a whole other track, actually. Yeah,
That's all right.
And,
If you do, you do.
I suppose you could edit it, but
Or not.
I came down here and started putting it out that I'm an artist, and I tried to get some publishing things, and I got very, very little, not even really enough to be worth talking about, but and nothing I got paid for, even though I was supposed to have been paid. But we went into the grocery store, and there was a sign up that said sign painter wanted. So I said, what is that? And they said, hey, paint this little, put this price on this little sheet of paper and everything. And I knew calligraphy since high school, and I did that, and I got hired on the spot. That was my whole interview. Was just draw this.
Boom.
So that was 11 years working for that company, while simultaneously working for dozens of other companies. I became a sign painter. Didn't really want to. That wasn't what I had in mind, but I figured, hey, it's better than factory work, and it sure was.
Yeah.
And
it paid the bills too. So.
And it paid the bills at least a little bit, at least just barely. But I liked it a whole lot better. But around 2010 or so, the economy kind of went belly up, especially around here. And
we don't need a sign painter. We'll just print it out on the printer.
Exactly. And that sort of thing happened, and just a lot of my clients were simply gone.
Wow.
Some of them in the middle of the night when, so the landlord didn't catch up with them or something like that. So had to look around for something else to do. And I looked back, I kind of went back to, what have I always wanted to do that I haven't, that I'm not doing, that I'm skipping, and I went back to thinking about Frank Frazetta.
Right.
And said, yeah, I want to do that. Well, but I had a bit of an epiphany moment when I realized I don't want to be an illustrator. I want to be a fantasy artist.
Right.
Okay. Up until then, I told myself I want to be an illustrator. That's the job that I really was chasing. Yeah, and I realized, sign painting, that's close enough to that. In fact, it's like illustration at its worst, actually.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I said I've had my fill of that, and so I just want to go paint. Just like a gallery artist, somebody who paints landscapes or still lifes or nudes or wildlife. Yeah.
M&Ms with lightsabers, you can draw M&Ms with lightsabers.
Right. Well, so
which I loved, by the way.
The thing it's still available. Go buy it. Okay. I don't think anybody's purchased that one, but so the thing I started to think was, okay, I'd like to be like Frank Frazetta, but I don't want to do what he was doing.
Right.
And I kind of envisioned walking into that fantasy world that he walked into, maybe right behind him. And while he stopped to paint a picture of Conan wrestling Thak the ape, for the cover of that book, maybe I kind of slid past that scene and went up the stairs and, out onto the street and found some hot babe that wanted her portrait done.
Right.
Okay, so I'm in that world, but I'm not doing illustrations for books. I'm just doing art.
Yeah,
and so that's kind of been the theme of the last 10 years, which I'm synopsizing tremendously, but in the last 10 years or so, 9 years ish, has been you just kind of go play in the world of fantasy to do art that is not particularly illustration. Right. He didn't lie. You don't talk at all anymore.
Well, no, he's doing well. Actually, you're doing all the talking, which is fine by me.
Okay.
Did you pursue any kind of? In terms of your artwork? Did you have any kind of education? Did you go to school for it? Because one thing that I noticed, you had this beautiful style with the dragon that you were painting that we saw the other day. And then we saw you again yesterday doing a sketch off, and your drawings were, and I mean this in a compliment, they were madcap.
Okay.
They were wild and crazy and fun.
Uh-huh.
And I kind of wondered, I was like, wow, this guy, he's got a lot of technique behind him. And I've always felt that the best artists are the ones that they have the broadest technique. They can draw and sketch and paint in multiple styles, but that's is that all talent with you?
Okay. How do you asked me several questions there?
Answer
yes,
every single one of them.
Okay, I will attempt. Education? No, absolutely not. I was penniless growing up, and so and also we're on a panel about fears and how your fears hold you down and how they're usually not valid. How they're right. And one of my not so valid fears was taking a life drawing class when I was a little kid. That was a sin, okay? Looking at naked people. You can't be doing that. When I got older, I thought, well, I've just missed my point. That's for college-age student. I'm past college age.
An adult can't learn anything.
An adult can't go to college. They're going to, especially a life drawing class, they're going to think, what's the old pervert doing in the room,
right.
And so
he's
to be honest, that
he's
is
35. What's
that
he
is
doing,
an
that
irrational
pervert
fear.
doing in here? Yeah.
That is an irrational fear, but it was a genuine fear, and I'm not the only one. I've talked to other
I'm
people.
sure a lot of people have had that, but and maybe it's because I'm not that kind of an artist. I'm more into music, but still looking at that, I mean, from the outsider's point of view, I look at that and say, but if the guy's got talent and wants to become better,
right?
Why there should be no stigma to that.
You're right, and there was no good reason for that, but I let it keep me from doing it until I was well into my 40s, and then I said, if they're going to think I'm a pervert, then let them think it, and I took the class.
Yay.
And it utterly transformed my life. And I took that, and I took an oil painting class, both of which I've enjoyed tremendously. I took an introduction to computer graphics class where I had half of a semester.
Now that's interesting.
Yeah, I've forgotten almost all of it, but half of the semester was Adobe Illustrator and half of it was Photoshop. So there's a really broad overview, and the guy didn't want me in the class. He was like, "You're too old, and you're going to hold."
No, that's not cool. Not cool.
Learn Illustrator and a couple of other Adobe pieces, and I am too old.
Well, I
need
felt
somebody
that way.
to show it to me.
I felt that way because, and it was awful because he put me in the front of the room, and I do well if I can look over somebody else's shoulder where there were no shoulders in front of me, And the first day I thought, oh, this is terrible, because he handed out this disc and he said, okay, everybody put the disc in and open this file and do this, and everybody's doing this stuff, and I'm holding the disc in my hand, looking around because I can't figure out where it goes, and I finally had to turn around and ask the person behind me, and the whole room stopped, and they're all staring at me, and they're like, you have to hit the eject button. Well, on my PC at home, the eject button was a button on
physical
the
button.
tower. Physical button. Yeah. And this was a Mac, and it was on the keyboard, and so they were like, it's on the keyboard, and they're like, top left, Grandpa. And then, but three sessions in, I was outstripping everybody in the class, because
you have talent.
I had serious art skill behind all that.
Yeah, I had experience, and they didn't, and also I was determined to go somewhere, and part of the project would be go find an image online or draw one if you want, and do thus and such with it. Okay, well, I didn't look for something online. I just pulled out my sketch pad, which was right there next to my foot, and drew the thing, scanned the thing, and started manipulating it in Adobe Illustrator.
I know a lot of artists who do that. Even comic book artists will actually use that very technique.
Yeah, and I loved it. That was a great thing. 3 weeks later, the rest of the class is still surfing the internet trying to find an image to use.
Oh dear!
They're just completely hung up on that. So I had the job utterly done, and so anyways, that was an interesting experience that I was able to use it when I finally did some coloring books. And I used my Photoshop knowledge to assemble the book into a PDF and do things like that. It really came in handy because I did a Kickstarter, and I said, I'm going to do these 6 books, which was incredibly stupid. I should have done a Kickstarter for one book, not 6 books.
Exactly.
But I committed myself
Smaller
to
goals.
6 books, and
6 books,
and I did, and
for
it was
the price of $1 donation.
Yeah, well, no, we got more than that. But if you balance the books at the end, yeah, probably about that. But we did. I did all the figures. They were goblins, and I did Gilead's goblins, and I did all the little critters that I've been drawing for years in my little sketchbooks, and they looked great. But then when I put them together in the book, I had a book that done. I put it all together in a PDF, and I sat back and I looked at it, and I said,
I don't like that.
They need backgrounds.
Oh,
there's
dear Lord.
There's no backgrounds. I was just like, they're too plain. I made the guy big, and kind of filling the screen. It's just too plain. So I basically doubled the project after it was already funded.
Wow.
I basically doubled the project, drawing backgrounds for each image.
Wow.
And then I went back and said, okay, I know that there is a way to take that scan of the little goblin and make the background transparent without making the inside of his body transparent, and superimpose. Right. I did not know how to do it, and it took me a long time to figure it out. But
it's a pain.
A little bit of knowledge from that class was enough to know that it was possible to do it, except I couldn't remember how to do it.
Right.
Oh my! It was actually kind of awful, but but I am grateful that I had that much of a education, so I could.
Well, now I can see why you say that dragon was nowhere near complete. You're a perfectionist about your art.
Perfectionist.
Yeah, but you strike me as one of these. Yeah, a completist might be a better word, because I've known so many people in various different creative fields, be it music or writing or artwork, and it's like, to them it's never done. Yeah. Even after they release it, it's never done.
Well, right. I was watching Jason yesterday. He was, after the time and everything, he was putting his little finishing touches on things. It's not perfect. It's got to be perfect.
Right. And there was a zombie eating a pumpkin or something, some crazy thing that we were doing. And he was like, yeah, it'd be good if I had some blood on there. And he grabs his pen and Ed was like, no, stop. You can't, it's over. You can't do it.
But I'm not done.
Right. But you do. You think of that, you'll put something down away and you'll think it's perfect. It's great. And then you'll look at it a month later and go, oh, what in the world was I thinking? That needs to be, and then you want to pull it out.
I just write book and movie reviews, and even I will look at a review a month later and think, oh, well, that's just garbage.
Right. I think we all do that.
Yeah.
And sure, you could write it over, but why?
Yeah.
And so
I just have to kind of walk away and say, okay, well, look for the next project now.
So, but bad things happen sometimes when I have a painting hanging on my own wall too long, and I'm sitting there on my couch, and there it is facing me on the other side of the room, and I start
screaming at you.
Yeah, it's just like, this shadow's wrong. You really didn't do that right, and it's just somebody else will buy it and they'll love it just fine. Oh man, and so it's really nice when I can sell my stuff and it can go away, and I don't have to look at it.
Never look at it again.
See that I'm a cook. Well, I pretend to be a cook, and
he is a cook.
It's always one of those. It's just not right. But the one good thing about it, it always goes away.
Yeah, it gets eaten.
Somebody's eating it.
It gets eaten or it goes in the trash, so I don't have to look at it anymore.
Well, if I do the cooking, it's going in the trash. That's pretty much a guarantee.
So. With that, you are here at CoKoCon as the artist guest of honor.
Yes.
And what kind of work did you bring here, and what did you do here as far as panels? And I alluded to you drawing a dragon. And
okay. One of the things was to be set up in the art room, which is something I didn't utilize that much because we were on a lot of panels. But whenever I had any downtime, was to just go in and work on a project down there at the other end of the room. And if anybody wanted to drop by and have a look at what I was doing and talk to me and stuff like that. And I love that setup. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
It was actually my idea several years ago, and it never got any traction. And I don't know if somebody finally ran with it or if somebody just came up with the idea independently and did it.
Well, it was done last year with a different artist, but I'm glad they kept that going because I think a lot of people that really appreciate strong fantasy art, whether they're a complete layman like me, or if there's someone that's really interested in doing their own kind of art, it's kind of fun. It's almost like a master class in a way to be able to sit, and watch somebody, the guest of honor status, and to say, okay, so they're learning something about watching the process. I mean, and even I, just looking around the corner, I was watching you do it, and I kind of came in the room and I was looking at some of your drawing lines and the way you were painting. I thought, my God, he makes that look so simple.
It also has to be somebody that's comfortable with doing things on the fly, and some artists are not comfortable
doing things
that.
On the fly and doing things in front of other people, which another thing is sign painting. You have no choice. The store window is out there hanging on the side of the store.
Exactly.
And that's where you're going to work. So people are going to be watching.
We're going to close for 3 days while he paints this window.
Right, yeah. So a big theme in what I'm doing is not just that it's fantasy and science fiction, but that everything that I paint is painted on a piece of recycled material. So all the things you saw in the art show there, the big, tall, skinny pieces were those accordion closet doors.
Oh my God, I love those.
And those were fun. I've done a lot of things with that kind of those tall, skinny panels. Again, doing that required that I have that epiphany that I don't care about publication. I don't care about illustration because that skinny panel will never work as a cover of a book.
No, because
it's the wrong
huge.
shape.
No, that's going to someone's
it's
house.
kind of
Right.
It's a vertical display of
Right.
several different things.
And but there's. I'm going to point, like you can see this on the radio. Here, I'll hold my mic up where you can see. There's a long, skinny section of wall here, right behind the door. There's places like that in people's house that, a regular size painting, there's no room. Or if it's small enough to hang there, it's not very tall,
right.
So it doesn't take up very much of that space. So a big
12 of them.
a big tall thing will hang in there,
perfectly.
but there's not very much out there that people do like that. So that's kind of neat when people, and a lot of people aren't going to like it for the same reason. They're like, it's too weird a shape or something.
I thought it was amazing. I loved them both.
Thank you. The M&Ms are painted on an old real estate sign.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so if you turn around back, there's some ad for some realty company on the back of that. So that's just something I found. The cover of the program book is this little
Beaker.
Beaker, the Meep, based on the Scream by Edmund something. One of those Munch, one of them art guys. That I don't know what that piece of wood was, but I found it on a junk pile somewhere, and it was clean. I can't use things that are moldy or something like that, but I could find things that are usable, and there's so much material. I mean, so much. There are thousands of tons.
Throw so much away.
Right, and construction projects. Somebody takes a 4x8 sheet of plywood and cuts 3 feet off of it and uses half, and then they throw the other piece away. Even if they're going to use a piece that size later on, they don't keep it.
Stuff.
Yeah. Well, I was keeping. I have a shed full of it. You would have seen in my spotlight panel. Yeah, I've got a shed just stuffed to the roof with materials that I collected. All of it was going to be made into signs during my sign painting career. And when the economy changed and I found myself with no clients, I just kind of asked myself, well, what would a sign painter do if a sign painter didn't have any signs to paint? Right. And so I kind of went out and started painting things on these boards. And so they don't fit any format. They don't fit the publication format. They don't fit the gallery format. It's just, but there's
have your own gallery.
But there's people.
You can paint the sign for that gallery. Yeah.
You know what? The most successful thing that we ever did in our lives was to have a wine and cheese party at our house and sell artwork there.
That is not a bad idea.
It was wonderful, and it was a great party. Even if nobody bought anything, we had a great time. Yeah. And we sold 60 paintings.
Whoa!
Yeah. Now, my artwork's cheap. There were a lot of things in the art show that
inexpensive, not cheap.
It's cheap. Okay, yes, I'll agree. It's affordable. Is what
okay, that's fine. But I would. But when you say cheap, that kind of implies the quality.
You cheapen the quality of
and that's not the case. I mean, in all seriousness, I was very, very impressed with everything that I saw in the gallery yesterday that you did. I mean, some really strong work and a nice varying of styles there and genres. I mean, it was wonderful stuff. So no, not cheap.
I stand corrected. I'm sorry. I'll go stand in the corner.
He'll always correct everything.
Okay.
He corrects me.
No, you're right. But it's my work is affordable.
Yes.
I came up with that during the sign painting. I say sign painting a lot in these interviews. I came up with that as a minimum charge of $50 so that I didn't drive across town, burn up a tank of gas, and do something for less than $50. Right. So and then when I switched to doing things at home, I don't have to drive. I don't have to stand on a stepladder. I don't have to be out in 110-degree heat. Life's a whole lot better. How am I going to price these pieces of art? Because if it was, the old standard was $5 a square foot, minimum $50. Okay, well, here I'm painting this thing that's only 3 square feet. I can't charge $15 for it. I've got to do at least the minimum of $50. Okay, so that's what we did. We charged $50 for a little painting. So I had dozens, in the house, and we pretty much just put $50 on each of them, and sold 60 paintings.
At the very least, you would have gotten drunk and been full.
Right.
You didn't sell anything.
Right, sure. So we had a great time, and that was it.
That's fantastic. So, unfortunately, we are like up against the red line here, but this has been such a joy being able to talk to you.
Yeah.
And to talk about your work. I think your work is wonderful. And of course, just before the interview started, it turned out you were like you got a little award for your artwork.
Yeah.
For this
Yes, that's right.
So that's nice.
That is very nice. I haven't seen it yet. I'm sure they've torn the art show apart, so I haven't seen it.
Yeah, we just came from there a little bit ago. Yeah, it's kind of torn apart. But so if anybody wants to learn more about you and learn more about your artwork, I mean, do you have any kind of social media presence? Do you have a website where people can see some of your work that you've done?
Okay, I'm no longer keeping a website active because all of my activity basically was on Facebook. Anyways, although when I had a website, nobody, blog or whatever, I just didn't get any traffic on that blog. So you can always find me on Gilead Artist on Facebook. Gilead the Artist on Instagram, if you're one of those kinds of people. And you can support me on Patreon. Go to Patreon and look up Gilead. And for $1 a month, you can give me $1 a month. You can.
I coloring book.
That's right. I would love to say there was exclusive content. There's some exclusive content on Patreon, but mostly it's people that love things that I do on Facebook and go, well, I find this guy so entertaining, So it's sort of like that guy at the coffee shop that's always playing guitar, and you always sit and look, and gosh, it's worth throwing $1 in when you happen by. And so I think there's a lot of people that see it that way, and sure makes a big difference to me. And so for the most part, if you're contributing to Patreon, you're contributing to my Facebook page and my ongoing work.
Great.
Excellent.
This has been really fantastic talking to you. Thank you for being on the show this time.
All right. This is my pleasure.
I'm Lizzie.
I'm Eric.
That's not right.
One brain.
We're Cheshire Moon.
And you're listening to the Two Gay Geeks.
They were a lot of fun.
Oh, they were. How appropriate that we should get to, have their bumper for us after interviewing Gilead this year.
Yeah, they were the Filk guests of honor last year at CoKoCon, so they were a lot of fun.
Oh, they gave the greatest conversation with us. It was
conversation.
It was fantastic.
Yeah. So here's a few selected birthdays for September 16th through September 22nd, 2019. But we're going to back up a little bit to September the 8th because Mikey...
MJ Lyons'
birthday was on September 8th, and he didn't tell anybody.
No, and
I had to coax it out of him.
And to remind people who MJ Lyons is...
He is the author of Murder at the World's Fair, and also one of the managers at the Glad Day Bookshop in Toronto, Ontario.
He's a wonderful young man.
Yeah. And it's just really a lot of fun. We need to talk to him again. We
Absolutely.
need to talk to him about Glad Day.
Yeah, we have to talk to him about Glad Day.
Absolutely. So happy birthday, Mikey. September 16th, Lauren Bacall, Anne Francis.
Forbidden Planet,
yes. All over, and she was in series TV all over the 60s and 70s. She was in Twilight Zone, Mission Impossible, Man from U.N.C.L.E.
She was referred to in Rocky Horror Picture Show,
Wonder Woman, Dallas, and Murder, She Wrote. It's amazing, huh? Nadia Boulanger, who was she was actually music teacher in Paris and then moved to the United States in 1940. She was composers and conductors like John Elliott Gardner, Quincy Jones, Aaron Copland.
Oh, my.
And Philip Glass. So interesting that she had quite the career. Also on September 16th, Alan Funt.
Candid
Camera, you got it. Peter Falk. Interesting that Peter Falk, who was Columbo,
true,
shows up with Anne Francis, when she made an appearance on that show. Ed Begley Jr., Mike Mignola, famed comic book artist
That-
who
yes.
actually did the art for Gotham by Gaslight. And Brian,
That's right.
Brian Augustin has a funny story about how that whole thing came about. We got to get him to tell that story. On
Didn't
the
he
show.
already? I know that we've tried to. We did have an interview with him. I think he might have actually mentioned to it once.
Yeah,
I don't
he may-
recall.
he may have.
He may have
I don't
actually
know.
brought it up. But if he hadn't, then we have to get him on the horn again so that he can share the story because it's delightful.
It is a delightful story. Also, James Cash Penny.
As in J.C. Penney.
Yes, and Tina Tarsitano. September 17th, John Ritter, who actually was his first TV appearance was as a contestant on The Dating
Game
in 1965.
That's right. I think you can find that on YouTube now.
Yep. And then Three's Company, and he was making a comeback in Three Simple Rules when he died.
Yeah.
Just right after filming an
I know, it
episode
was so
in
tragic.
2003. That was just a tragic loss. Anne Bancroft, Mrs. Mel Brooks.
That's right.
And she was an actress in her own right. She won an Academy Award for
Gosh.
Annie Sullivan in The Miracle Worker.
The Miracle Worker, that's
Yes.
it, yes. With Patty Duke as Helen Keller.
Yes. And Rodney McDowell.
Rodney,
Yes.
yeah, I'm sure.
Roddy McDowell.
Probably most famous for not seeing his face, but only hearing his voice.
Yes.
Behind a chimpanzee mask. Planet of the Apes.
Really?
Duh, please.
Was it Cornelius?
And Caesar and Galen.
Yes, all of those. So he could just hide and be all of those voices.
Yes, he could.
Yeah. And also then Baz Luhrmann, who actually was the director of Moulin Rouge. Mm-hmm. And then we have Akhenaten, who was the father of Tutankhamun, also known as...
King Tut.
Yeah, there you go. Also,
So he's King Tut's daddy.
King Tut's daddy. Yeah, he was also known as the... what was it? He was the heretic or something to that effect, because he tried to change the...
He was changing
Egyptian
mythology, wasn't he?
Mythology, yes.
Yeah,
and,
because we read some of
worship,
that.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of that in the Queens of Egypt exhibit we saw
That
in
was
D.C.
a fascinating...
Oh my God, what a great
my
exhibit.
God, that was a fascinating
I would
exhibit
see
at
that
DC.
again because there was too much to look at.
Oh, there was. Also, Facebook friends on September 17th, Michael Fett, Kenny Rotter, Trisha Rethman, and Brendan Allen Barrett. September 18th, James Marsden, Greta Garbo, who actually made the transition from silent films to talkies very successfully. She was one of the few successes that made it from the silent films to the talkies. And one of her, some say her best role was in Camille, which is actually the story Lady of the
Camille's became La Traviata at one
Exactly,
point.
all this other stuff, Camille. Also on September 18th, Agnes DeMille, who was a choreographer and brought the ballet form to musical comedy to enhance the plot. Some of her musicals that she did choreography for were Oklahoma, Carousel, and Paint Your Wagon.
Wow.
Yeah. Fred Willard, quirky actor.
Yeah, he only knows quirky.
Only knows quirky. And Jack Warden of Used Cars fame,
Used Cars.
who was
Oh my
filmed
God.
here in Mesa, Arizona.
We need to see that again, just to remember Jack Warden.
And June Foray,
Who she sat right in front of us.
Yes.
When we were at a special showing for, I want to say it was Pinocchio.
I think it was Pinocchio, yeah. So also, let's see, that's all for September 18th.
Yeah.
September 19th, Jeremy Irons, David McCallum, who started in Man from U.N.C.L.E. I guess that was one of his first
one of his
things on
earliest roles.
TV. And he's currently on NCIS, or was on NCIS,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm glad to see that he's still working, though.
Absolutely. And Adam West.
Sorry that he's gone, but wow,
know,
what
wow.
a joy it was to see him
What
at
a
Phoenix
talent.
Comic-Con. What a talent. but it was really wonderful being able to see him.
Oh, my God, yeah.
And
him and Burt Ward.
And Julie Newmar.
And Julie Newmar. Oh, my God.
And-
it
and-
was just incredible.
And I like what he's. I think he said it during Comic-Con, his panel. He said, the Batman, as we've seen in the later movies, has always been referred to as the Dark Knight, and that's what he was in the comic book. And Adam West says he likes to think of his role of Batman as the Light Knight.
the light knight.
But
the
I mean,
knight.
but not that respect, But
Yeah,
he,
I know.
but he really, there was no questioning his morality.
Yeah,
He was his portrayal of Batman was a very moral one.
yeah. Batman light.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Moving on,
Moving on. Brian Epstein,
former manager of the Beatles.
and James Lipton, who was not the heir to the Lipton throne.
No.
But he was inside the actor's studio and always asked some really good questions. And
What's your favorite swear
what's
word?
Your favorite swear word?
And it's always
Or
the same
what word
one.
do you hate?
Yeah, but the favorite swear word. Yeah. That's everybody's favorite swear word.
Exactly. September 20th, George R.R. Martin, Sophia Loren, and Dale Chihuly, who was a glass sculptor. There's some stuff out at the Botanical Gardens and all over the place. I mean, just everywhere.
We saw some of his work at
the Bellagio.
The Bellagio,
Yeah.
that's right,
Yep.
in Vegas.
Yep. Also on September 20th, he's actually from Seattle as well.
No kidding.
Yeah. Rob Palmer, good friend of ours out in L.A., who did I Am Alone.
I Am Alone.
Joel Harper and Thomas Valliere.
Oh my goodness, I love that young man from what's the short film?
The short film.
Shoot, the title went right out of my head.
I lost it too.
Morning After.
Morning After. There we are. September 21st. Stephen King. What do you say to that?
Wow, Horror Meister.
Exactly. And Bill Murray.
Oh my God. What do you say to that?
Exactly. The Dead Don't Die.
The Dead Don't Die. You must see this movie.
We have got to watch that tonight.
I know. We have to see that movie again because it is just so bonkers.
It's craziness.
Any movie that becomes where it is totally and utterly self-aware is worth watching.
Exactly. Also on September 21st, Leonard Cohen, who we lost in November a couple of years ago.
The timing on his passing was really unusual
with
Sense8.
I think he died on Thursday, and then it was that Sunday evening that Sense8 released the episode
where they did Hallelujah.
Oh my God! It was such a touching episode anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, September 21st, also H.G. Wells, Herbert George Wells, Larry Hagman, Jerry Bruckheimer, Henry Gibson. Not Henrik Ibsen.
No, Henry Gibson. From Laugh-In.
From Laugh-In, yes. And Chuck Jones. Oh my gosh. Where do you start with that?
Oh God, just look all over Looney Tunes.
Exactly.
I mean, the man's genius is everywhere.
Super
genius.
Yes, we just watched that earlier this week. The Wile E. Coyote
and
Super Genius.
Yes.
Also, Gustav Holst, who wrote The Planets, among other things. And Facebook and a cruising friend, Emily Clark Daughter. September 22nd, Joan Jett, Billy Piper, Michael Faraday, who was a physicist as well as a chemist, and he was a very prolific scientist of his day, discovered electromagnetic induction. Yeah, see, it's a technological problem today with the mouth. Electromagnetic induction and the laws of electrolysis. So he actually was kind of formed the first electric motor. So interesting. Thomas Felton
Of Harry Potter.
Draco Malfoy, and he was also on The Flash.
Yes.
And here we have
everybody's favorite fat man.
No. Everybody's favorite old fart, John Houseman.
Yeah, that's it. Yes.
That's
a line spoken oddly enough by Bill Murray.
Exactly. And Anna Magdalena Bach, who was wife of JSB. They had 13 children.
Unless you want to
together.
count PDQ.
And he had several from his previous marriage. But most notable, she was... he wrote a notebook, the Anna Magdalena songbook or notebook. There was a bunch of pieces that he jotted down for her to hone her skills. And it is suggested that she wrote several pieces of her own.
I've heard that.
Also on September 22nd, Amanda Melby, who was in a short film that premiered at Phoenix Film Festival. And shoot.
We are just firing on all thrusters today,
exactly.
aren't we?
Oh my God.
They came to the president.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, man, I'm so embarrassed.
I'm so sorry. And also Norman Gidney, friend of ours from, for many, many years.
Yeah.
And that's it for the birthdays this time.
Hi, this is Holly. You're tuned in to Krypton Radio. It's sci-fi for your Wi-Fi.
Go give a listen and visit our friends over at Krypton Radio, a 24-hour geeky internet radio station.
Yeah.
KryptonRadio.com.
And as that was running, we were both scrambling to try and redeem ourselves and say
Raising
face.
Buchanan.
It's Raising Buchanan.
It is a film that Amanda Melby.
And I have
How
to,
do we forget that?
I know.
Oh my God.
And the thing is, it's a really, really
It is
enjoyable
a
movie.
Great film.
It is a fantastic
If you have
film.
an opportunity, please see it. I think it's still making the film festival circuits.
It might be.
But if you have a chance, please see it. And now it's time for not that yet. This. Here we're going to do this.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counsellors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
Since we're kind of almost running out of time,
I know,
here,
gotta
we
do this
hurry up.
fast, yeah. This is the feedback time. So, starting off with episode 237, got a comment from Pactless Patrons, a support group. And they write, our showrunners, Riley, oh God, I'm going to ruin that last name.
Oh my God. What
Grick?
Yep.
G-R-Y-C.
Yep.
Grick, Riley Grick, and Angela McCain were so happy to join TG Squared Studios for a chat about Pactless Patrons and our hashtag Kickstarter campaign. Come listen to the head honchos wax poetically about our passionate team of creators. It was a fun chat. I was really glad we got to talk to them.
That's great.
Now, we got a couple of this. I just call this general feedback because these are not in response to anything that we ran, any articles or any interviews, but these are people who just decided to say something about us. First, starting with from Madame Askew's temporal entourage. Oh, my God. Can't wait till we interview her.
I'm telling you.
She wrote, inspired by the Torrid Tales of Tea panel Saturday night at CoKoCon 2019, the brilliant Keith Lane from TG Squared Studios created this delightful ode to Scottish folk kitties, the Scottish adventurer and botanist Robert Fortune, and the smuggling of tea plants. Although, does one really create an ode to tea smuggling? One may certainly sing oh, God, what's that word?
Pens.
Pens, thank you. Actually, I've seen the word, just never know how it's pronounced. To a fine cup of Darjeeling, and remember Robert Fortune and his questionable choices. Now,
ni hao.
Ni hao. Keith wrote, he designed this beautiful graphic that we will have to put in the show notes for this episode. So look for it in the article for this episode. And then lastly, Dee Estelle,
who was one of the co-chairs.
She was one of the co-chairs for CoKoCon. She wrote this really long, appreciative analysis letter thanking all these people who were involved with CoKoCon 2019, and then she included this. A special thank you to Keith and Ben, TG Squared Studios, for all the love and support you show CoKoCon year-round. And that is the feedback.
Well, thank you, Dee. And you can leave a comment on our Facebook page because we publish everything to Facebook and then we share it around. You can also comment at tggeeks.com on any of the articles or episodes. You can comment on Twitter, on Instagram, and our YouTube episodes, because that's where Arkle posts most of his comments on YouTube. There. So if you want to receive a shout out, please leave us some listener feedback. And also, if you want to, please leave us a voice
message,
and we will play it on air. You can call 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. And as always, please play nice. We want to give a shout out to our friend Eamon Saman, who has a new YouTube channel, The Arabian Dictionary, and he has said, as an Arab American voiceover artist, he wanted to connect his culture of birth to his culture of choice. Arabian Dictionary is his attempt at making the Arabic language accessible to English-speaking audiences in a fun and jovial way. A foreigner is no longer foreign once you understand their language. And here's the most recent entry.
Welcome to Arabian Dictionary. Today's word is yalla. Yalla. A combination of two words, ya and Allah. Yalla is a colloquial Arabic word that means let's go, shall we, or hurry up. Dude, we only have 2 minutes to crack the safe open before the police arrives. Yalla. Hey, remember to like, subscribe, and share. Tell us in the comments if there are words you'd like us to feature next. Today's Arabian Dictionary word is available on t-shirts, mugs, and other cool products that you can buy for yourself or your loved ones. Click the link in our bio or in the description below.
If you are in transition or have already transitioned and are in crisis, or you know of someone in crisis, there is a special hotline just for you. The hotline is provided by translifeline.org and staffed by specially trained counselors who are transgender themselves. The hotline in the U.S. is 877-565-8860. In Canada, it is 877-330-6366. Or you can go to the translifeline.org for more information about the important work they are doing. Please reach out for help.
Yeah, baby. They're like two gay geeks. They're together, you know. They're two gay guys and they're geeks. Is that okay?
We're going to rush through this.
No kidding.
Because we are running out of time. This is our second segment, and we're going to run down just the operas of Arizona Opera 2019-2020 season that we're very excited about. Opens up with Shining Brow about Frank Lloyd Wright, part of the Red Series. It's at the Herberger Theater and then at Tucson Temple of Music starting September 27th through 29th, October 5th and 6th in Tucson. Fellow Travelers about the Lavender Scare in D.C., part of the Red Series. November 8th and 10th at Herberger, November 16th, 17th, Tucson Temple of Music.
And when I add that, two of the original cast members who created the roles are going to be singing at it here.
Yay. And La Boheme, Puccini's Masterpiece of Love at part of the main stage season at Symphony Hall, January 24th through 26th, and February 1st and 2nd at Tucson Music Hall.
What do you give her?
What? Oh, God.
That's a story for another day.
For another day. Riders of the Purple Sage, part of the Modern Masterwork series by Phoenix's own Craig Baumler. That's February 28th through 29th and March 1st, Symphony Hall. March 7th and 8th, Tucson Music Hall, and the season winds up with Ariadne of Naxos, one of my favorite
One of mine, too. I love this one.
I call it Strauss's mishmash.
It is. It really is.
It's a comedic piece. It is wonderful, but the last, 15 minutes to 20 minutes
I would say even
opera,
more than that. I would say maybe the last 40 minutes is just fabulous.
It's just sheer beauty in music. April 3rd through 5th at Symphony Hall and April 11th and 12th at Tucson Music Hall. As everybody knows, we're huge supporters of independent creators, whether it's filmmakers, comic book artists, or writers or others. Please buy their stuff, talk about them, have cash for them. Please consider supporting independent creators. The Joshua Tree Feeding Program is a 501c3 nonprofit food pantry for HIV/AIDS community in Maricopa and Pinal counties that are set up like a store so that clients can choose what they want. They also have a pet assistance project where they give food and pet supplies, as well as other information about spaying and neutering and vet care. Please consider supporting Joshua Tree either through a single gift or a monthly recurring gift. You can go to jtfp.org. Grand Canyon Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence are hosting their third annual Red Dress Ball on November 16th at the Parsons Center for Health and Wellness. Proceeds go to Joshua Tree Feeding Program and AIDS Walk Arizona, sponsored by Aunt Rita's Foundation.
Okay, gotta run this down really quickly. Starting with Sunday, September 8th, Dr. Zombie, Monster Family Physician number 65. Oh, by the way, these are things we ran on our website at tggeeks.com last week. And we have the links for all of these in our episode coming up for, whatever. Monday, the 9th, TG Geeks episode 238. Tuesday, the 10th, Ben's Gay Breakdown, Analysis Paralysis is a therapist's romantic comedy dream come true. On Wednesday, the 11th, Andrea's Angle, it's chapter 2. She says friendship is everything. On Thursday, the 12th, Ben's Breakdown. Take a surprising look into high-tech VR startups with Empathy Incorporated. Also, from Orion Pictures, Gretel and Hansel, if we have a trailer and a press release for that. On Friday the 13th, News Sushi number 79, Morsels of News from Japan and Beyond, and we also have another movie review for The Goldfinch. On Saturday the 14th, 5 Questions with Rob Toon. I'm hoping that's how it's pronounced. Also, Ben's Gay Book Breakdown, a look at sentience and artificial intelligence in Brobots. And that's what we ran this last week.
You can find all of those things at tggeeks.com, as well as entries on our Facebook page. Please visit and comment.
Okay, must give special thanks to the Arkle Times Post-Dispatch News for publishing our content from time to time, and that is put up by the human Arkle, Mr. Brian Weber. You can find it by finding him on Twitter. Find him by searching Arkle, at A-R-K-L-E. Also, he has the Shameless Cash Grab, and you can find that by going to Arkle Studios. YouTube.com/Arkle Studios, and you can find it all there. Also must give some Facebook groups.
Well, we have to say, yes, I have looked at your show, and after 17, I figured you were done. But there was another one up on Tuesday.
There you go.
There you go.
Yes. Must give some shout-outs to some groups on Facebook. First off, to Gay Geeks After Hours. Their moderators literally gave us permission to share away, and we do. Their URL is facebook.com/group/Gay Geeks After Hours. And also, we must give thanks to The Gay Geek for allowing us to share our wonderful stuff there. Their URL is facebook.com/group/The Gay Geek, all one word. And we must give special thanks to their moderator, Jeremiah Reeves, for allowing us to share all that wonderful stuff there.
And lastly, you can find us on Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, as well as where other fine podcasts can be found. Also, check us out on Krypton Radio, 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific Time on Tuesdays, and listen to their other content, 24-hour geeky internet radio station. Please rate us and review us on iTunes, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We're going to have several links on the page. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm putting on my podcast voice. Or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. From TG Squared Studios, I'm Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. Please be kind to yourself and those around you. Peace.
Cheers.